Hey there, welcome to the Millennial Book Junkie. My name is Monique, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all the books that I plan to read in September. September is one of my favorite months because I tend to do a lot of my spooky stuff in September, like paint my nails orange and go to Halloween horror nights in Universal Studios and plan out all my events for October. And it's just kind of like a really fun spooky season. I also really love it because even though I read spooky books all year long, it's great because in September, everyone else is reading spooky books too. And I also feel like it's finally the time when the books match the weather. So I really am excited for spooky season. I am so glad that it is here. And I have tried to tailor my books to be a little more September themed. I don't know that I actually will be able to pull that off fully this month, but we will see. So I plan to read 5 books in September, and I'm going to be starting out with Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I love this cover because it actually is very like fall as well. I've been putting it next to the fall roses that I got, and it is just the vibe. I've recently been kind of on a Stephen King kick. I just read The Long Walk not too long ago, and now I'm reading Pet Sematary. And mostly because I'm still doing research for my own horror novel, but this one, if you have not heard of it, which I think it's rare, but if you have not heard about this one is about a family that moves to Maine. The father is the main character. His name is Lewis Creed, and he has his wife, Rachel, and then their 2 kids, a little girl named Ellie and a little boy named Gage. And so they moved to Maine because he just got a job at a university nearby. And so he's a doctor. And so they moved there and everything is going well, except for there's kind of this undercurrent of danger that's lurking around. Our main character, Lewis, has these nightmares. And also in real life, he keeps getting these signs to like stay away from the area behind his woods, which actually is a pet cemetery. So behind this pet cemetery is like a burial ground that he keeps kind of getting these, signs to stay away from. And of course, do you think he's going to stay away? Probably not. So I'm not going to give spoilers as to what this book, what happens in this book. I think everyone kind of already knows, but I will just say that our main character, Lewis, is not listening to any of the signs that tell him to stay away from this burial ground behind this kind of makeshift pet cemetery that the children have created behind his house. And so he kind of gets tempted to go to this like burial ground that's like beyond the pet cemetery. And, the things that this burial ground is promising is very seductive, but only time will tell what actually happens when he goes beyond, if he goes beyond. What I will say is there's one line that's very popular in this book, and I will end my synopsis with this one line, and that one line is, "Sometimes dead is better." I'm really excited to read this classic, especially in September, especially in spooky season. This book actually takes place in September. At the beginning of the book, it has just finished with summer and they are starting September and it goes through to the winter. So this is a perfect book to pick up in September, if you ask me, and I'm really excited to finish it up. The next book that I plan to read in September is Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. I have not read any Rachel Harrison, but I've decided this book just came out and it is time. So this book is about a woman named Cleo Barnes. She's a bit of an influencer, but she had an interesting upbringing. She grew up in a haunted / possessed house with her sisters when she was younger, and her mom actually ended up writing a book about everything that happened in that house, when they were growing up. But later her mom dies and Cleo and her sisters are left to inherit the house that they grew up in. They associate this house with a lot of trauma. And so when they get there, Cleo, who is like an influencer, decides she's gonna flip this old house of hers for content. She's gonna give it like a whole home makeover and she's gonna share it online. And she thinks this is gonna be like the perfect thing to delight her audience. But when she gets there, things are not so delightful. And I think that's where this book sounds really interesting to me because I love a haunted house novel, haunted house story. I have a lot of haunted house books on my shelf that I need to get to. But basically when Cleo and her sisters show up at this house, things start to get very spooky. And eventually Cleo actually reads the book that her mom wrote also about the house. And things just kind of take off from there in terms of being spooky and weird. So I cannot wait to read this book. I was thinking of doing a new release thriller vlog while reading this book, and hopefully I can put that together. But either way, I am reading this book and I'm very, very excited about it. This next book that I'm reading in September is the epitome of September books. It is called The September House. I heard about this book about 3 months ago. It's a debut by Carissa Orlando, and it is about a woman and her husband who live in a house, this house of their dreams. They really were excited because they got this beautiful house for a really good price, which is always kind of sus to me, especially in a horror novel. And when they get there, they realize that this house is completely haunted. Every September, the walls start bleeding blood and there's weird stuff happening in the basement, and the people that used to live there start kind of terrorizing them. And this just happens every September. Now, if you were living in this house, would you stay there? Probably not. But this woman is like, no, this is my house. It's my dream house. It's a Victorian home. I love it. I'm going to stay here. And her husband stay there for years. And actually, at one point, the husband decides he's out. He disappears abruptly. He doesn't call, he's just gone. And so our main character is like, what just happened? Where did my husband go? And like, maybe she knew why he left, but like, he's not answering her calls and he just kind of disappears. And then to make things worse, her daughter arrives and wants to stay and like help find the father, but it's September. And so our main character is trying to hide the eeriness of this house from her daughter, and her daughter is trying to find the father. And I feel like this is just the perfect mix of horror for me in September. And the fact that it's called The September House, I think it couldn't be more perfect. So this is one of the books that I'm going to listen to this month, and I am very, very excited. Have you read this book or heard about it? I have heard it multiple times mentioned on BookTube, and every time someone's mentioned it, they have said that they've loved it. So I'm really, really excited to dive into it. The next book that I plan to read in September is called The Woods by Harlan Coben. This will be my very first Harlan Coben. And I was trying to find something that gave me a September vibe, and this one really did, just because it was in the woods and because the woods were the color of what I imagine to be September. This book is about a county prosecutor named Paul Copeland, and his sister disappeared 20 years ago. Her and her boyfriend walked into the woods and they just never were to be found again. Now in the present day, he's dealing with a case where he finds a homicide and the victim is a man who he believes might have had something to do with his sister's disappearance 20 years ago. And so now he has to go and try and connect the pieces. But as he gets really excited about finding his sister, there's a lot of stuff that comes up from his past that just might tear apart everything that he's been trying to do. So I'm really excited about this because it has been a minute since I read a crime thriller, and I'm really, really excited because I've never read a Harlan Coben. And if this is kind of like, I'm hoping it'll be like kind of atmospheric, like woods crime thriller, detective, finding a body kind of thing. And I'm hoping that that's what this is. And so we'll see when I read it, but this is like the next book that I'm going to be reading in September. Have you guys read any Harlan Coben? I really have just been feeling like I want to read a crime thriller, and I actually plan on reading a ton more Karen Slaughter the rest of the year, but I'm going to start with this and I'm very much looking forward to it. The final book on my September TBR is not really fall coded, but it is one that I've been wanting to pick up for months now, and it is Our Last Resort by Clemence Michelon. Now this one's about a brother and sister who used to be really close before a tragedy pulled them apart, but they are reconnecting at this hotel that's very secluded, and when they are there, unfortunately, a woman dies, and the suspicion falls on the brother. And so now who I believe is the main character, the sister, she has to kind of figure out like if her brother is guilty or not. But also this one has to do with a cult, because I'm pretty sure that the brother and sister, when they were younger, were involved in some kind of cult, and maybe they escaped and then now they're reconnecting, and maybe their cult background is like now haunting them. So this one has kind of really been on my radar for a little bit, because not only do I love the author because she wrote The Quiet Tenant, but I also really liked another book that sounded like this called Just Like Mother by Anne Heltzel. So I'm really, really excited about this one. I haven't heard too much about it. I've been not wanting to read into anything that is being said about this book because I really liked this author's debut novel and I don't want to be super disappointed. Although I know someone who did DNF it, so I'm like, I am really going into this with hopeful expectations, and we will see. And I'm very easy to amuse and please, so I will probably like it, but we'll see. And so that's it. Those are all the books that I'm going to be reading in September. I'm really, really excited about it. I'm really happy to be back and telling you about what I'm going to be reading because, as I said in my last video, I kind of took a break in August and it just felt really weird. So I'm happy to be sharing with you the books that I plan to read. So now you have to tell me, what are you reading right now? Or what do you plan to read in September? Because I need to add more things to my TBR, especially spooky season is coming up. So if you have any good spooky recs for October, I think I'm going to be reading a lot of books that have the word haunted in them. I have a lot of books with haunted in the title or haunting. I feel like those are perfect for October. So I'm going to plan to read those, but let me know if you have any good spooky recs for the rest of spooky season. All right, that's a wrap for me. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.